to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
First Around Kansas looks at the city of White Cloud, home of the Flea Market, named by McCall's magazine as one of the top 10 in the country. Next, celebrate the founding of Wamego 150 years ago with the upcoming annual Tulip Festival. Then enjoy a poem from Ron Wilson, and we'll end with the Battle of Westport in 1864, the largest Civil War battle fought west of the Mississippi. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment is brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road. It's Wednesday, so this must be Around Kansas. I'm Frank.
I must be Deb. Unless you've replaced me. And I couldn't blame you if you had.
Deb has got what everybody, I think, in the world, or at least in Kansas, has had this late.
It has been so hard to fight. And it's like you think you're okay, and then you're not. And it has just been, and my voice, like I had to cancel on Becky Tanner. I was doing her class. Shoot, that was weeks ago. And I just woke up one day with no voice, which I realized to many of you would not be a problem if I had no voice. But, you know, it was a little traumatic for me. And it's been really hard to get rid of. And then it's just gotten worse. And I don't know, it's like you got winter, then you got pollen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I've had it twice, so.
I know.
We're going to make this like a shaker table.
I know, we should have brought the load of garlic in or something. You could have just held the garlic up to keep me away.
Yeah, so anyway.
So they had Smoke in the Spring down in Osage City last weekend, this past weekend. So we'll share some pictures of that. Hope a lot of you got to go down and enjoy some great barbecue. Had people from
all over the place.
All over the place. Several states that came and competed. It's turning into quite the event. So real happy to share images from that. And this spring has sprung. I swear I felt like I missed it for a while because I was I've just been traveling, and then it's like snow, then it's like wind, and then it's like sick, and it's like, then you walk out one day, it's like, wow, it really is. Everything's green and it's bloomed, and it's like, when did this happen?
Yeah.
I feel like the groundhog or something just crawled out of hibernation, or the bear, or something.
Yeah. When it snowed on Easter, it was like, what did I do? Sleep all the way to Christmas?
Exactly.
Like,
wasn't that strange?
Oh, look, we have a white Easter.
It was it's just been a bizarre spring, and the wind, holy cow. One night out in western Kansas, I have to tell you, I know wind. I grew up in the mountains, and where I grew up, the wind was ferocious because you're right on the edge of the mountain, and so the wind will funnel, and you can get some strange sounds, and you can get some powerful wind. But I don't think I have ever experienced the sustained hard winds like that night. And I thought that old farmhouse, I'm like, I don't know how it's going to be standing in the morning.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Oh, yes, western Kansas. You get out there on the high plains.
Plains.
There really aren't that many trees.
Well, it's like one of the politicians told me years ago when I first moved out here. He said there wasn't nothing between us and the North Pole but a barbed wire fence, and it was down half the time. And man, that's what I thought about that night. I'm like, yeah, there's nothing. Just.
Yeah. Well, when you're going west on Highway 36, you're like this, and then when you're coming back, you're like this. So, yeah.
Exactly. Hey, we got some great stuff today, so stay with us.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Lecompton. The name was splashed across newspapers throughout America and Europe. It was debated in the halls of Congress. Lecompton interprets its unique territorial history with 2 museums and other sites. Events throughout the year celebrate history and community.
The 160th anniversary of the Battle of Fort Titus, June 18th, 2 p.m. Reenactors welcome. Call 785-887-6148 for more information.
Spend the day in historic Lecompton, shopping, eating, savoring the rich history.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
And we're back.
Well, now that it's spring, the scenery is gorgeous. It's not going to be prettier any other time of the year, so it's a great time to get around. And that reminds me, tickets are available for the Symphony in the Flint Hills. That's June 11th. So make sure you check out their website, and of course the scenery is always gorgeous for that. And there's just not a part of the state that's not pretty this time of year, is there, Frank?
Well, and that especially because out in the Flint Hills, and when the sun's going down and the symphony starts, and it's like, oh wow.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
good as life gets, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, this next segment we're going to talk about White Cloud, which is the very northeast corner of Kansas. And you got me thinking about this when you were talking about the motorcycle trip to the Four Corners of Kansas. So one time I'd taken a van tour. It was I think it was a Bleeding Kansas tour north of the Kansas River. So White Cloud was one of our stops, and the overlook in White Cloud. And again, this myth that Kansas is flat. You know, we've got these we're punctuated by these tabletop landscapes. But that's just the punctuation. Everything in between is not flat. It is anything but flat.
Well,
and White Cloud.
Yeah, especially that northeast corner. It's like, what state am I in?
That overlook is spectacular. And you can see Nebraska, Missouri, and Iowa from that overlook. So we take this van tour up there, and it's been a long day on this tour. And we get everybody out, and they're standing there on the platform at the overlook and spontaneously break into singing Home on the Range. It was totally unplanned, and it was just one of these unique Kansas moments. It was really, really special. So,
White Cloud is a really good place to find all kinds of antiques too.
That's right. They have the big sale in the
big
fall of the
flea market.
year.
Yep.
It's huge, and it's just a really neat little town. And now they got the casino up there, you know, close by, and it's not far, but it's just and another thing they've got up close by is the Highland Indian Mission is not far from White Cloud. So that's within striking distance, you know, to go to the Highland Indian Mission, which is really good. We'll do a segment on that one day too. Mahushka was his name. In English, White Cloud. For the Iowa tribe dwelling in these Missouri River bluffs, he was their chief until killed in a battle with the Pawnee in 1854, the year of the Kansas-Nebraska Act, when whites came pouring into the territory. It didn't take long for the newcomers to realize that these bluffs were the ideal location for a town, and it thrived, fed by the steamboats that docked at its front door. At its height, the town had a couple of thousand souls. Now it is less than a couple of hundred. But the architecture of the heyday remains, and the town is on the National Historic Register. Twice a year, the population swells once again as White Cloud hosts one of the oldest flea markets in the region. The first Sunday in May and the weekend surrounding it, and the first Sunday in September and the weekend surrounding it, hundreds of vendors line the streets and crowd into the public spaces, and thousands of visitors come from far-flung states to search for treasures. McCall's magazine named White Cloud one of the top 10 flea markets in the country. According to event officials,
The Mahushka Museum has not been opened in several years, but is reopening for this year's events. This museum is full of awesome artifacts, and the building itself is a historical landmark. Another claim to fame of this iconic small town is the creation of the piggy bank. Ironically, not as a means to accumulating wealth, but in an act of great generosity. In the early 1900s, a 10-year-old boy, impressed by a traveling missionary's sermon about lepers, decided to help. The young Wilbur Chapman raised a pig, sold it, and donated the $25 raised to a boy suffering from leprosy. Wilbur's gesture caught the imagination of the public and started the Pig Bank movement to help lepers, and the name Piggy Bank was coined. A plaque commemorating the boy and the idea of the piggy bank is mounted on the Community Christian Church on Main Street. The headquarters and reservation of the Iowa tribe of Kansas and Nebraska are just west of town, and the tribe operates a casino there. You'll find this scenic small town is rich in stories.
I dug trees by hand for years and years and years. In the process, I wore out my rotating cuff. But when I learned about this process, I thought if there's a way to get rid of this pain, then I want to do it. So we did it, and it worked. And I'm not going to go out and dig trees with a shovel anymore, but I can do the things that I want to do now.
And here we are again.
Tiptoeing through the tulips.
I was just going to do that. Tiptoe through the tulips.
Michael's too young to remember that, isn't he? Tiny Tim.
Yeah.
Remember when Tiny Tim got married on
Yes.
Johnny Carson?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really dating us. I was 5. I don't know. I was maybe 2. Maybe I was just 2 years old. But I remember it when he got married on the Johnny Carson.
Yeah, I think I had
show.
just been born.
Yeah, exactly. It was a long time ago.
Yes, well, then of course here in Topeka you can tiptoe through the tulips because it is tulip time. It's going on, and that's at Warden Ede, and of course up on Elevation Drive, and let's see, in Gage Park there's a new tulip garden there now, and so it's really a great thing. This is something that really Gerald Binkley kind of started at his home up on Elevation Lane, and he had, I mean, literally thousands of tulips that he planted, and they would come up and people went up there. And it's now expanded because now it's out at Ted Inslee Gardens at Lake Shawnee, which Gerald, of course, also had a great deal to do with getting that developed and all that. Amazing man. So, and I think this spring is a little more conducive to the tulips staying around a little while, because I know a few years the tulips would come up and be, oh, great, and then it'd be 85 degrees for 4 or 5 days, and the tulips would go, we're done now. Yeah. So hopefully this year the tulips will survive a little better, and you're going to be able to really see some nice stuff. Yes, there is an admission charge, it's like $5, but what it does is that buys more tulip bulbs, and it helps maintain the garden. So
yeah, keeps everything going.
Well worth
and
it.
Botanica down at Wichita, they've got tulips too all over Wichita. So wherever you are, look for the tulips in bloom, because there's a lot of places. If you're not here in Topeka, we'd love for you to come see us. But if you're not in Topeka, there are a lot of places to go. And of course, there is Wamego this weekend.
Oh, yes.
Can't
from, I mean, you know, here we go, Dutch bulbs in Wamego.
Right. Dutch bulbs.
So tiptoe through the tulips.
Take your ukulele.
The discovery of gold near Denver brought many through Wamego on the Smoky Hill Trail in the mid-1800s. In 1863, the Kansas Pacific Railroad began building the main line for passenger and freight bound westward across the plains. Seizing this opportunity, the Wamego Town Company founded and laid out a new town site, Wamego, along the proposed rail in 1866, 150 years ago. Wamego's annual Tulip Festival starts 150 days of celebration for the small town with a big experience. Chamber Director Megan Umscheid said events through September will highlight the town's history. The city park has been the center of the community for decades, and the windmill has been its focal point. Constructed by a Dutch settler, the mill was dismantled and hauled by 35 horses to the park. The mill, in turn, inspired the planting of tulips, and when organizers were wanting to start an arts and crafts fair nearly 30 years ago, they were inspired to take advantage of the park's scenery, and the Tulip Festival was born. And it has blossomed. A juried show, more than 130 vendors come from throughout the Midwest to share their wares. This is as much as to buy as there are tulips. Food vendors include items from the land of Kansas. The park is so much more than a grassy space. With the mill, other historic buildings, including the museum and the children's train, the park is a real destination. The children's train is another tradition that was saved by the community when it needed to be rehabbed and operates free of charge from mid-April through mid-October. Join Wamego in celebrating 150 years of an awesome community at the Tulip Festival or other events throughout the year. Check out their website and Facebook pages for schedules.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Around Kansas, brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Howdy folks, I'm Ron Wilson, Poet Laureate. There is one element of Kansas life which is found in the stereotypes that people have about the state of Kansas, and there's an element of truth to it, folks. I'm talking about wind. This poem is entitled Blowin' in the Wind. The railroad train stopped at a station out west. Out stepped a city dude in bowler hat and fancy vest. The wind was a-howlin', as Kansas winds sometimes do, and off went his hat as one particular gust blew. This wind is just horrific, the Easterner said. Is it always like this? He wondered with dread. So he looked around, and what caught his eye was a Kansas cowboy who was waiting nearby. He approached the cowboy, saying, "Young man, I say, does the wind clear out here always blow this way?" "Nope," said the cowboy. "Thank goodness," said the dude, but his relief was short-lived with the comment that ensued. For the cowboy offered this further correction: "You see, out here, the wind blows half the time in the other direction." Happy trails.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, Sure Crop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. Sure Crop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose Sure Crop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Around Kansas, brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. Go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter. And again, here we are. Are you holding up okay? Or?
So far, my meds are keeping me alert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've really had some kind of nice stuff today to talk about, and so now historian is going to kick in over here, and we're going to talk about another.
Yeah, I bring the violence in. I'm always bringing the violence.
The violence
in.
here. All of these. Well, the thing is as we've discussed before, the Civil War pretty much started in Kansas in the 1850s. I mean,
it really did. So Fortunately, so many of those sites are beautiful parks now. There's lots of tulips blooming in a lot of these battlefields. So yeah, they are. It's like that old joke about, you know, why did they pick these big parks to have all these battles in?
Let's go to the park.
Yeah, let's go to the park and fight. Yeah, that's it. So Kansas City, the Battle of Westport, which is the Battle of Westport. You know, the Westport is sort of the entertainment district. You know, you've got the bars and restaurants and everything. And Westport was Westport Landing, so that was, it sort of predates Kansas City itself, and that's where settlers would get off and head west. So the Battle of Westport was a piece of the Battle of the Blue, which is a 3-day battle in October of 1864. A really big deal. It was a last-ditch effort. The Confederates are trying to take Missouri, and of course Kansas is afraid of being invaded. It's only a year after Quantrill burned Lawrence, so Kansas is really afraid of being invaded. Now there is a wonderful museum there at Westport. I got to go, Frank, I have done some cool stuff. I got to go to this site a few years ago with a couple of my buddies from the Command and General Staff College, Ed Kennedy and Tom Chichota. We took 20 visiting French officers to the Battle of Westport. And we did the whole Battle of the Blue. So we started out at Buckner, Missouri, and we just make a day of it and come into Westport. And then we wind up in Liberty that evening, and I take them to James Country Mercantile, and I have them all buying Confederate on their way back to France. Just a tiny bit subversive here, you know. I just can't help but have a little bit of that come out. But anyway.
So.
Yeah, just look at the tulips. Look at the tulips. But the museum opens this April for the season, so April through October, and it's just one of those places you tend to overlook because it's right in the heart of Kansas City. But it's well worth the trip.
Well, there's some antique shops around there too, so make a day of it.
That's right.
The Battle of Westport covered more than 25 square miles during the 3 days in October 1864. Confederate General Sterling Price's invasion of Missouri, designed to gain both men and supplies, would have meant the invasion of Kansas as well, and our governor called out troops, the equivalent to our National Guard today, to help repel the threat. The Battle of Westport Visitor Center and Museum in Kansas City's Swope Park tells the story of the largest Civil War battle fought west of the Mississippi. Overlooking the Big Blue River Valley and the nearby historic Byram's Ford Crossing, the center commands a vista from the sweeps across the fields to the river, an idyllic view now where war raged more than 150 years ago. The center, which opened in October 2008, depicts the experiences of the civilians and soldiers caught in the vortex of war during the 3 days of the battle on October 21st through 23rd. Visitors learn about the most dramatic event in Kansas City's history. From the tower of the center, visitors can see the panoramic view where Union General Samuel Curtis constructed a defensive line stretching for 10 miles along the banks of the Big Blue River. Here, visitors may also travel along the 32-mile self-guided tour of the Battle of Westport, designated by the Manette Battle of Westport Fund markers. Nothing speaks more eloquently of this conflict than the words of those who were there. At 8 a.m., crossed the creek called the Big Blue, the battlefield of yesterday. There, for the first time, the unburied dead were seen, the unmistakable marks of a stern and cruel war. At every step of our advance, the evidence of a fierce and bloody conflict was around us. It was a sad sight, the old, the middle-aged, and youth. The enemy took here a stubborn and determined stand. It was a cavalry fight, carbines, pistols, and sabers. Horse against horse, man against man. Sabers right and left. The saber cuts visible on the face, neck, and arm. The wounded and dead horses seen all over the field. Our loss is estimated at about 400. The enemy's loss is from 1,000 to 1,500. George Swain, Quartermaster, 58th Illinois Infantry, 24 October, 1864.
Well, you made it, so I guess we'll see you next Wednesday. I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And we'll see you somewhere around Kansas. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
More than tornadoes, we're the best